The e-bike market right now is absolutely wild. There are hundreds of brands flooding the shelves, each one promising you the ride of your life, incredible range, unbeatable speed, and a battery that supposedly lasts forever. And some of them actually deliver on that promise. But some of them, and this is the part nobody wants to talk about, are genuinely terrible. Today, we are going to expose the 4 worst electric bikes you can buy right now, and then reward you with the 5 best ones that are actually worth every single penny of your hard-earned money. Worst number 4, Ancheer electric mountain bike. Alright, so Ancheer, where do we even begin with Ancheer? If you have spent more than 15 minutes researching budget e-bikes online, you have seen this brand. It is everywhere. It shows up on every affordable e-bike list, it dominates the budget search results, and it has a product photo that honestly looks pretty decent at first glance. Clean design, front suspension fork, a handlebar display, fat knobby tires. It looks like a legitimate electric mountain bike. And that is exactly the problem. Because it is not. Once you actually get one of these things in your hands and start putting it through its paces in the real world, the illusion falls apart faster than you would expect. Ancheer advertises a 250-watt motor on many of its models, and technically that number is not a lie. But what they conveniently do not tell you is that 250 watts on an Ancheer is not the same experience as 250 watts on a reputable brand. The power delivery is inconsistent. It cuts in and out unpredictably, and on anything steeper than a very mild incline, you are going to find yourself doing a lot more pedaling than you ever bargained for. You basically paid for an electric bike and got a regular bike with extra steps and extra weight. Then there is the battery situation. The advertised range figures on Ancheer bikes are, and we are being extremely generous here, optimistic. They are tested under conditions that have very little to do with how a real human being rides a real bike in a real city. Flat roads, zero wind, a test rider who apparently weighs nothing and never uses the brakes. In actual real-world riding, you can expect to lose a significant chunk of whatever range number Ancheer prints on the box. And the build quality. The welds on some Ancheer frames are rough enough that you notice them without even looking for them. The brakes feel vague and spongy in a way that should concern anyone who has ever needed to stop quickly in traffic. The included charger, which in some early batches did not meet basic safety certifications, is something you genuinely want to think twice about leaving plugged in overnight. Look, Ancheer is not the worst thing we have ever seen. It is not going to fall apart the first day. But for the price point it occupies, which is right up against far superior competitors, it simply does not hold up. You deserve better than this, and more importantly, your money deserves better than this. Worst number 3. Jetson electric bikes. Now Jetson. Jetson is a brand that has mastered one thing above all else, and that one thing is retail placement. Walk into a Costco, walk into a Walmart, walk into basically any big box store that sells e-bikes, and there is a solid chance you are going to see a Jetson sitting right there at eye level with a price tag that seems reasonable and a design that looks genuinely fun and approachable. And for a lot of people, especially people buying their very first e-bike, that is the entire purchasing decision made right there on the spot, standing in the aisle. Happens all the time. And that is exactly why Jetson makes this list. Because Jetson e-bikes are marketed almost exclusively to first-time buyers who do not yet know what questions to ask. They are sold on aesthetics and price, which sounds fine in theory, until you actually dig into what you are getting for that money. The motors on Jetson bikes are almost universally underpowered for anything beyond completely flat, smooth, obstacle-free riding. And if you live in a city with even minor elevation changes, a hill, a bridge, an overpass, a parking garage ramp, you are going to feel that underpowered motor in your legs very quickly. Very, very quickly. The battery packs in Jetson bikes also raise some significant eyebrows. The cells used are not from top-tier manufacturers, and the battery management systems, the software that regulates how the battery charges and discharges to protect its long-term health, are not sophisticated enough to prevent meaningful degradation over time. What this means in practice is that your Jetson e-bike range after 12 months of regular use is going to look noticeably, frustratingly worse than it did on day one. That is not a great ownership experience. Customer service is another chapter entirely. Try getting a replacement part for a Jetson after the warranty period expires, and you will understand very quickly what the phrase after-sales support actually means. Or in this case, what it means when it barely exists. We have heard from riders who spent more time trying to source a replacement display unit than they actually spent riding the bike in the first place. That should not happen. That is not acceptable. Jetson is not a scam. But it is a cautionary tale about what happens when a brand optimizes for shelf appeal instead of actual product quality. Worst number 2, Swagtron EB series. Okay, so Swagtron, you already knew this one was coming, right? The name alone should have been a warning. And no offense to anyone who bought one genuinely, we have all made purchases we regret. Life goes on. Swagtron is a brand that built its name in the personal mobility space with scooters and hoverboards. And remember what we said earlier about hoverboards, before pivoting aggressively into the e-bike category. And that pivot shows in the product in ways that are hard to ignore once you know what to look for. The Swagtron EB series covers a lot of ground on paper. You have got folding models for commuters, fat tire models for adventure riders, city bikes for urban use. The whole range is represented, and the prices are low enough that it genuinely looks like a steal at first glance. Here is the uncomfortable truth, though. When a brand that spent years building hoverboards and kick scooters starts building electric bikes, the engineering culture and the component sourcing habits from those earlier product categories tend to follow them right into the new one. The frames on Swagtron EB bikes have received repeated criticism for feeling flexy and uncertain under load, particularly on the folding models where the hinge mechanism, arguably the most structurally critical point on any folding bike, does not inspire a whole lot of confidence when you are riding at speed. One reviewer described riding a Swagtron folding e-bike as feeling like the bike was constantly, politely suggesting that maybe you should slow down and reconsider your life choices. That is not a feeling you want from your daily commuter. The throttle and pedal assist systems are also notably inconsistent. The transition between assist levels is abrupt rather than smooth, which creates a jerky, stop-start riding experience that becomes genuinely tiring over longer distances. The displays are basic to the point of being unhelpful, and the tires, particularly on the fat tire models, do not deliver the cushioned, stable ride quality you would expect and deserve from that wider profile. There is also the small matter of water resistance, or the alarming lack of it. Multiple Swagtron owners have reported serious electrical issues after riding in light rain. Light rain, not a flood, not a tropical storm, a drizzle. For an e-bike that someone is supposed to commute on throughout the year across multiple seasons, that is a genuinely serious and completely unacceptable problem. Worst number 1, Nakto electric bikes. Here we are. Worst number 1. And if you own a Nakto, we are genuinely sorry about what you are about to read, but you deserve to know the full truth. Nakto is a brand that has been operating in the budget e-bike space for a number of years now, and in that time, it has accumulated one of the most consistent, well-documented records of disappointment in the entire category. We want to be very clear about this. We are not talking about one bad model or one bad production batch. We are talking about a systemic, across-the-board pattern of corners cut, standards ignored, and promises broken that makes Nakto the single worst e-bike brand you can spend your money on right now. Full stop. Nakto bikes are routinely listed with motor wattage figures that simply do not match real-world performance in any meaningful way. The claimed wattage sounds adequate enough on paper, but the actual output, the torque, the sustained power delivery under load, the ability to maintain speed on anything other than a perfectly flat road, falls so dramatically short of the advertised numbers that it borders on false advertising. Borders on it. Might actually be it. The batteries are where things get genuinely alarming, and we do not use that word lightly. Nakto has a documented history of using battery cells that do not originate from verified, reputable manufacturers. The battery management systems fitted to Nakto bikes are rudimentary at best and critically inadequate at worst. There have been multiple reports, not rumors, not forum speculation, actual documented reports from real owners of Nakto batteries swelling, overheating, and in some cases failing in ways that create serious, tangible safety hazards. This is not dramatic. This is us telling you that the device you're going to plug in near your furniture, near your belongings, and near your family every single night deserves significantly more scrutiny than Nakto has historically been willing to give it. The customer support situation at Nakto is, and there is genuinely no polite way to frame this, basically non-existent once they have your money. Parts are extremely difficult to source. Warranty claims are an exercise in frustration that many owners simply give up on. And the build quality of the bikes themselves, the welds, the component selection, the finishing details, reflects a manufacturing process that is optimizing for one thing and one thing only, which is getting the cost as low as humanly possible, regardless of what has to be sacrificed to get there. And here's the part that makes us genuinely angry on your behalf. There are e-bikes available at the exact same price point as Nakto that are genuinely good, genuinely safe, and genuinely worth owning. That is the part that makes this so inexcusable. You do not have to spend your money on a Nakto, there is no reason to. And after today, hopefully you will not. Best number 5, Rad Power Bikes, Rad City, 5+. Alright, deep breath everyone. We made it through the worst of the worst, and honestly we feel better already. Time to talk about the bikes that actually earn your respect, your money, and a permanent spot in your garage. The Rad Power Bikes. Rad City 5+ is the entry point on our best list, and it earns its spot by doing something deceptively simple. It does exactly what it promises to do, every single time, without drama, without excuses, and without surprises. And in this industry, that kind of reliability is genuinely rarer than you would think. The Rad City 5+ is a Class 2 electric commuter bike built around a 750-watt geared hub motor that delivers smooth, confident, consistent power whether you are navigating dense city traffic, pushing up a proper hill, or cruising on a long, flat stretch with the throttle open. The range is rated at up to 45 miles, and unlike certain brands we just spent considerable time discussing, that number is actually achievable under real-world riding conditions with a real human being on the saddle. The hydraulic disc brakes are genuinely excellent. They stop the bike quickly, consistently, and with the kind of progressive confidence-building feel that encourages you to ride more assertively rather than more cautiously. That matters more than most people realize until they have experienced the alternative. What really separates Rad Power from the competition, though, is not any single specification. It is the ecosystem around the bike. The company has built one of the most robust parts and accessories networks in the consumer e-bike industry. Their customer support is responsive and knowledgeable. Their online rider community is enormous and genuinely helpful. When something eventually needs attention on your Rad City, because all bikes eventually need attention, that is just reality, you can actually get the parts you need delivered to your door without a 4-month wait and a customer service runaround. That sounds basic. In this industry, right now, it is a genuine competitive advantage. Best number 4, Lectric XP 3.0. The Lectric XP 3.0 might be the single most compelling argument in existence for the proposition that you absolutely do not need to spend a fortune to get a fantastic electric bike. This is a folding fat tire e-bike that starts at under $1,000 and competes, genuinely, legitimately competes, with bikes that cost 2 and even 3 times as much. Let that sink in for a second. The motor is a 750-watt rear hub unit that produces torque figures you simply would not expect from something at this price point. The fat tires, 4 inches wide on a 20-inch rim, absorb road imperfections with a cushioned planted feel that makes urban riding genuinely enjoyable rather than just tolerable. The range in pedal assist mode can stretch to 65 miles under the right conditions, which for a folding commuter bike at this price is nothing short of remarkable. The folding mechanism on the XP 3.0 is tight, secure, and genuinely confidence-inspiring. It folds down to a compact footprint in well under 10 seconds, and does not develop the looseness and rattling that cheaper folding bikes tend to develop after a few months of regular use. The integrated front and rear lighting, the color LCD display, and the hydraulic disc brakes are all features that, at this price point, are absolutely not guaranteed across the competition. Lectric includes them anyway, which tells you a lot about how this company thinks. Lectric has quietly built one of the best reputations in the affordable e-bike space by consistently over-delivering at every price point they occupy. The XP 3.0 is the clearest and most satisfying expression of that philosophy. Best number 3, Aventon Pace, 500.2. Aventon is a brand that has been quietly and consistently building some of the best value-for-money electric bikes on the market for several years now, and the Pace 500.2 is the model where their engineering philosophy really clicks into place and makes the most complete sense as a product. This is a Class 2 commuter e-bike built around a 500-watt motor paired with a 480 watt-hour battery and a claimed range of up to 60 miles in pedal assist. The motor tune on the Pace 500.2 deserves particular attention. The power delivery is smooth and natural and progressive in a way that genuinely feels like the bike is working with your pedaling input rather than fighting against it or simply overriding it entirely. It is a subtle thing that is very difficult to put into words but makes an enormous difference over the course of a long daily commute. You arrive feeling energized rather than rattled. The frame geometry on the Pace 500.2 is well considered for real-world urban riding. The components, the saddle, the grips, the handlebar position, feel like they were selected by someone who actually rides bikes in cities rather than someone who was just trying to hit a cost target. The integrated rear rack is genuinely useful for carrying bags and cargo rather than just decorative, and Aventon's mobile app, which connects to the bike via Bluetooth and allows you to customize your assist levels and track your rides, is intuitive and actually works reliably, which places it ahead of most competitor apps automatically. At around $1,000, the Pace 500.2 sits at a price point where the competition is genuinely fierce and the decisions are hard. It wins that competition anyway, and it is not particularly close. Best number 2, Specialized Turbo Vado SL. Now we are in meaningfully different territory. The Specialized Turbo Vado SL costs significantly more than anything else we have discussed today. We are comfortably north of $3,500. And before you reach for the back button, hear us out completely, because this bike justifies that investment in ways that are genuinely difficult to argue against once you understand what you are actually getting. The Vado SL is built around Specialized proprietary SL 1.1 motor, which is a genuine masterpiece of compact, sophisticated engineering. It produces 240 watts of peak power, and the entire motor unit weighs just 1.95 kilograms. That weight figure is the number that matters most here, because it means the complete Vado SL tips the scales at around 15 kilograms, which for a fully featured electric commuter bike with integrated battery, lights, and rack is genuinely extraordinary. Pick it up with one hand, carry it up 3 flights of stairs to your apartment. You actually can without needing to rearrange your schedule for the rest of the day. The range on the Vado SL, equipped with the optional range extender battery, stretches to 130 miles on a single charge. 130 miles. That number deserves its own moment of silence. The ride quality is exceptional. The geometry is drawn directly from Specialized Performance road bike line, which means the handling is precise, responsive, and genuinely fun in a way that purely utility-focused e-bikes almost never manage to achieve. If you're going to make a serious financial commitment to an electric bike, and given what a transformative effect a truly great e-bike can have on your daily transport, your fitness, and your general quality of life, many people absolutely should. The Specialized Turbo Vado SL makes the most compelling case we have seen for where that money belongs. Best number 1, Trek Allant Plus 9. And here it is, best number 1, the Trek Allant Plus 9. And look, we recognize that choosing a Trek as the absolute best in class is not exactly a wild, controversial, take to the internet to argue about pick. But sometimes the obvious answer is obvious for one simple reason, which is that it is completely, undeniably correct. The Allant Plus 9 is built around the Bosch Performance Line CX motor, which is, without any meaningful debate among people who know this industry well, the finest production e-bike motor available to consumers anywhere in the world right now. It produces 85 Newton meters of torque. It supports a cadence range of up to 120 RPM. And the power delivery is so seamlessly, intelligently integrated with your natural pedaling rhythm that after about 5 minutes on this bike, you genuinely forget the motor is there. You just feel strong. Unreasonably, suspiciously, almost unfairly strong, like someone quietly installed a better version of your legs, without telling you. The Bosch PowerTube 625 watt-hour battery is fully and completely integrated into the down tube of the Trek frame, which means the Allant Plus 9 looks to anyone passing you on the street like a very well-made regular bicycle. Not a neon-accented, cable-festooned, obviously electric machine with 17 logos on it. A bicycle. A nice one. That discretion matters enormously to a significant number of riders, and Trek has executed the integration so cleanly that it still impresses people who have been following e-bike design for years. The rated range on the Allant Plus 9 reaches up to 100 miles in eco mode, and the Bosch system's range prediction algorithm is accurate and reliable enough that you can genuinely plan your rides around it with confidence. The hydraulic disc brakes come from Shimano's professional component lineup. The suspension fork is lockable for maximum pedaling efficiency on smooth surfaces. The integrated front and rear lighting draws power directly from the main battery, so you never have to think about it. The rear rack carries a serious load. The display is clear, logical, and readable in direct sunlight, which sounds like a small thing until you have stared at an unreadable display at noon, and you will never take a good one for granted again. But here is what truly elevates the Trek Allant Plus 9 above everything else on this list, and above everything else we considered for this list. It is the completeness of the package. There is not a single element of this bike that feels like a compromise, an afterthought, or a cost-cutting decision that someone hoped you would not notice. From the frame construction and the weld quality, to the component selection and the Bosch system integration, to the paint finish and the cable routing, every single detail of the Allant Plus 9 reflects a manufacturer that has been building bicycles since 1976, that genuinely understands what makes a bicycle exceptional, and that was not willing to let any aspect of this product fall short of that standard. Trek backs the Allant Plus 9 with a lifetime warranty on the frame and fork, and one of the most extensive dealer and service networks in the entire global bicycle industry. Wherever you are riding, support is not far away. At around $5,000, it is a significant investment by any measure. It is also, in our completely honest and considered opinion, the best electric bike that most people can actually walk into a store and buy today. Nothing else on this list comes close. Nothing else we tested comes close. So there you have it. 4 e-bikes that will genuinely disappoint you in ways that range from mildly frustrating to genuinely alarming, and 5 that have the real potential to change the way you think about getting around every single day. The e-bike market is moving faster than almost any other consumer product category right now, and the gap between the very best and the genuinely worst is enormous and still growing. Knowing which side of that gap your money is going to land on before you commit to a purchase, that is the whole game right there. If this video helped you make a better decision, leave us a like. It helps more than you know. Subscribe if you are not already part of this community, because we go deep on e-bike tech, real-world reviews, and everything moving in the electric mobility world every single week. We will see you in the next one.